Casual Scrabble players often find it bizarre that tournament players don't even know the definitions of the words they play. We only have so much storage space in our brains, and definitions often fall by the wayside as we cram in more valid letter strings. That being said, I do like learning definitions whenever I can, and some of them are absolutely hilarious, random, or just plain bizarre. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 10 craziest Scrabble definitions. First up, SPICA. This is actually a pretty normal word referring to a particular type of bandage or splint, but I have to give the definition a lot of credit for being absurdly specific. This would probably have been sufficient, but instead we also get this. Remember folks, if it doesn't look like barley, it's not a spica. Next up, ABROOKE. This word is defined as an erroneous spelling of Shakespeare's "Abrooke" without the E, which of course is a synonym of the normal word brook. It's funny enough that a word tells you in its own definition that it's a mistake, but even better is the fact that the supposedly correct word isn't even a valid Scrabble word itself. In the same vein as ABROOKE, we have PAIOCKE, another word which tells you right up front that it's a misprint, in this case of the normal word peacock. As a bonus, you get 3 other words that are all potential misprints as well. But even better than that is PRENZIE, whose meaning is a word of unknown meaning, possibly a misprint for princely. Nigel Richards once played this word to open a game, but his opponent, fellow world champion Mark Nyman, didn't fall for the bait of the tantalizing but invalid S-hook. Some of the words on this list have less to do with actual meanings and more with how we show them. For example, parentheticals haven't always worked right, and for me, the word beholden was the funniest example. Just look at this doozy of a definition. Beholden, indebted. Beholden, indebted, beholden, indebted. This has since been corrected, but in my heart, I know this definition will still continue recursively forever. Sometimes we transliterate words into English from other languages, which leads to variant spellings. But I've never seen one quite like this cloak with a hood and wide sleeves. I still remember reading this one out on a Twitch stream a couple years back. GALABIEH, a cloak with hood and wide sleeves. Also, GALABIEH, 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 JALABA, and JALABA. Then again, occasionally there are definitions that could really use a few more words of explanation. Take gapping, for instance, whose extremely helpful definition is, as in call gapping. Thanks, that definitely clears it up. In fact, it's a method for restricting traffic on a telephone network to better manage heavy call loads. There, that wasn't so hard, was it? Now it's time for my top 3, starting with chumping. This is defined as the practice of collecting wood for the November 5th bonfire. I love how completely random this date is at first glance. Is collecting wood for the November 6th bonfire a totally different word? Yes, for those of you in the UK where Guy Fawkes Day is celebrated, this might have made perfect sense. But to an American like myself, this was hilariously random. Number 2, swingism. The ideas of Captain Swing, a fictitious character in whose name Rick Burners sent threatening letters. This definition raises so many more questions than it answers. Who was Captain Swing? What are Rick Burners? Why were they sending threatening letters? Well, it actually has to do with agricultural workers in England in the 1800s protesting their jobs being replaced by machines. Actually, that sounds kind of familiar. Maybe these guys were onto something. Anyway, Captain Swing was the fictitious figurehead of this movement, and his supporters would set fire to haystacks, or ricks, hence the Rick Burners. Kind of rude, but still better than Rick Rollers. Finally, my number 1 craziest Scrabble word definition, MONTEM. A custom formerly practiced by the scholars at Eton, of going every third year on Whit Tuesday to a hillock near the Bath Road and exacting money from passers-by to support at the university the senior scholar of the school. Whew. Okay, let's take this one piece by piece. Eton is a boarding school founded in 1440 in the eponymous Eton, a town in Berkshire, England. Whit Tuesday is a religious holiday taking place 7 weeks after Easter. Bath Road is a nearby road to the school which has evolved into a more modern thoroughfare known as the A4, spanning central London and points west. The hillock in question probably looked a little bit like this. I couldn't find a definitive answer for what a senior scholar was, but it seems to have been a top-performing student headed to Cambridge for university. The money from passers-by, which apparently came to include the king himself, was meant to fund this ongoing education. The practice was discontinued in the 1840s, at which point train service had become mainstream enough such that crowds of unruly city dwellers came in droves to see it for themselves. And here I was thinking this was just a weird M hook for Monty. Well, there you have it. It was pretty tough just picking 10 words for this list. Which was your favorite, and did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching.